In this lesson, we're going to study mean, median, mode, and range. Nutritionists recommend a diet that is low in fat. You can read package labels to find the approximate fat content of many foods. For example, here's a package label. What do you notice about the numbers in the table? Anything at all? Well, most people will say they see numbers that have at least one decimal places. Some people will say that the largest number they see is 5.1, the smallest number they see is 0.3. Some people might say they see 3 1.1s, stuff like that, a couple of 0.9s. Does one value appear more often than the other? Well, we already saw that. The 1.1s appear 3 times. Nothing else appears 3 times. Let's find the mean, the median, and the mode of the fat per serving data. This is the same data that we had just pulled out of that table. The mean. How do we find the mean? Well, we need to remember that the word mean means average. So mean is the word we use when we talk about the mathematical average. And that's something we've probably been calculating for a while. Just remember that's where you add up everything you have and then divide by how many things you just added. So we're going to sum the data, add up everything we have, and then divide by the number of data items, or divide by the number of things we just added. So if we add up all the data and divide by 11, since there's 11 numbers, we'll get 15.9 divided by 11, which is approximately 1.445. Since the data was given to the nearest tenth, our final answer should come out to the nearest tenth unless they request something different. Notice all the data is rounded to the nearest tenth. Therefore, our average, our mean, should also be stated to the nearest tenth unless they ask for something different. The median. Think of the median as the middle. And the way to remember that is when you're driving down the freeway, the median is that thing that's in the middle between the north and southbound lanes, or east and west if you happen to be going the other way. But here we go north and south on the freeway. So the median is the middle. And the way to find the middle is basically list the data in order from least to greatest, like we have. We have everything from 0.3 up to 5.1 in order. And then just find the middle number. If you have to, count from the end so you get to the middle, but just find the middle number. In a set of 11 things, the middle number would have to be what? The 6th thing. So we just find that 6th thing and we're good to go. Okay, so that puts us at the median there. The middle number is 0.9. The last measure of central tendency that we're going to look at is mode. Mode stands for most popular. Just remember MO for mode and MO for most. It's the one that happens the most popular piece of data there. That has to be the 1.1. So our mode is 1.1. Find the mean, the median, and the mode of the following set of data. Go ahead and do that. You can pause the video right here, find your mean, find your median, find your mode, and then when you're ready to check your answer with mine, press play again on your video player. Should have got a mean of 84.3, a median of 93, and a mode of 55. Range. All ranges is just the difference or subtraction of the smallest number from the largest number in a set of data. So if we're going to try to find the range in sample 1, we have to find the biggest number and the smallest number and just subtract. So 5.1 minus 0.3 is 4.8. So the range of the data is 4.8. It's basically how far is the top from the bottom. What's the range of this data set? Go ahead and try that real quick. Pause the video if you need a little more time. The range you should get is 118, 150 minus 32. In this sample question, we've got Lynn's test scores. She's got one more test in her grading period, and she wants to know the mean score, or she wants to know Lynn wants her mean test score to be 90. So she wants her average to be 90 so she can get her A-, but she doesn't know what she needs to get on her last test. So help her figure out what she needs to get on her last test so that her average score is a 90. So their mean score is a 90. Go ahead and pause the video here and try that out. Okay, here we go. This is how I would solve this. I would say, well, let's see. I'm trying to get a mean score of 90. So I know the formula for mean is just add up the data and then divide by how many. The mean I want to be 90, so I'm going to go ahead and fill that into the mean spot. The mean is 90. She's taken tests of 86, 87, 88, 89, and she's going to take one more test, but we don't know what that test is going to be yet. We're trying to figure out what she needs in order to get this 90. And that's going to give her a total set of scores, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 scores to average to her 90. So let's go ahead and try to solve for x here. We'll add up the 86, the 87, the 88, the 89. That's 350, plus the score she hasn't gotten yet, and still divide by 5. So what we're trying to do now is just solve for x. So let's multiply both sides by 5 to get that out of the denominator. So 450 equals 350 plus x, and divide by the, or not divide, but subtract the 350 away. So it looks like she needs to get 100 on her last test in order to get her A-. All right, we're going to talk about stem and leaf plots. This is an example of a stem and leaf plot. This is giving us the cars in the parking lot at 11 a.m. So one day there were 127 cars, another day there were 135, another day there were 138. Down here you see that one day there were 157 cars, and so on. So each one of these data points on the right represents the number of cars in the parking lot. Every stem and leaf plot has to have a key. This is a key down here. When you see 14 on one side and 1 on the other, that means 141. So right here, this 17 with nothing here, that's nothing. There was no 170-ish cars in the parking lot ever. There was 181 once down here. Okay, so these are stem and leaf plots. It's just a way to organize data kind of by shorthand, make it easier to get it in order, and then do some calculation with it. So each stem represents an interval. So for example, the 15 represents anything that you'd have from 150 to 159. So here we see 150, 155, 156, a couple times 157, 158. So everything in the 150s would go in this leaf. This is the stem on the left and the leaf on the right. All right, so here's some data. Joe took a survey of the ages of people standing at a bus stop. The data went as follows. He had all these numbers of people. One day there were actually 39 people standing at the bus stop. We're going to have to make a stem and leaf plot for the data. When we make stem and leaf plots, the values on the right are only single digits. So in this case, since I only have 2-digit numbers, my stems are also going to be single digits. So for example, we're going to see 1s on the left, we're going to see 2s on the left, we're going to see 3s on the left. That'll represent the group from 10 to 19, 20 to 29, and 30 to 39. And now we just put in our leaves. So 1, I should see a 5 and a couple 7s because there's a 15 and 2 17s. The 2, I should see a 1 and a 3 because there's a 21 and a 23. Put these in order. Just makes it easier to do calculations later. And notice that according to our stem and leaf, we have a 30, a 34, a 35, and a 39. You can see all those values up here too. That's our stem and leaf plot. But again, no stem and leaf plot is complete without the key. It has to have a key. 2, line 3 is equal to 23. So always, always, always include a key. You don't have to write the words stem and leaf. So here's that same stem and leaf plot. Let's see if we can answer some questions. Which interval did the most ages fall? Well, there's 4 of them in this interval. And that would be the interval from 30 to 39. So we would say the interval from 30 to 39. What were the highest and lowest ages? Well, the lowest age was 15, and the highest age was 39. That's very easy to see in the stem and leaf plot. How many ages were between 30 and 39? Well, there was one that was exactly 30 and one that was exactly 39. So we could say that there were 2 ages between 30 and 39. That's our lesson for this day. I'll see you in class.